Hello, 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 everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the flight sim community. This is Viper Strike 95, and welcome in on everyone to our 50 states and 50 streams here today, part 31 of 50. And we're here at our first state on the west coast of the United States. That's right, guys, we're actually in California today. So I hope you're all doing well here today on this Friday afternoon. And I hope you guys get ready for the weekend. Yes, it is Friday. The weekend has finally started to finally come. Been taking us long enough for the weekend to finally arrive. You're in beautiful California. So there's a lot of things going on, but I do hope you're having a great week. So if you guys aren't aware about California, it is one of the most important states in the country nowadays. And it was actually the first state in the United States to be admitted on the West Coast. Very highly populated, tons of natural beauty, and a rich cultural heritage. And that's what makes California special. So I hope you're all having a good weekend here today. So before we get started, I do want to say hello to everyone in chat. Super Typhon, good to see you, and hello to all the lurkers. Good to see all you guys here today. So our flight plan for this today is going to take us across California. We're going to start in Brownfield, and we're going to fly over downtown San Diego first. We'll fly over downtown San Diego. We'll do a brief flyover downtown. So we'll see Petco Park and all that. Then we'll head up northwest, and we'll head our way over to Long Beach, California. And we'll head through Long Beach. And then once we get through Long Beach, we'll head to downtown Los Angeles. We'll check out, I put a few waypoints here in the LA area. SoFi Stadium, the LA Natural History Museum, where the Memorial Coliseum, downtown LA, Dodger Stadium, Hollywood Walk of Fame, Hollywood sign. Then we'll head west over to Santa Barbara, and we'll make our first stop here at Santa Barbara Municipal. Stop number 2 will take us up the coast. We'll fly on the California coast into Monterey. We'll land at Monterey Regional Airport. And then from there, we'll head up northwest. We'll head to the Bay Area. We'll fly through San Jose, California, downtown San Jose. We'll go over downtown. Then from downtown, we'll fly over to Palo Alto, Sanford. Then we'll go northwest and we'll visit San Francisco, California. We'll check out downtown San Francisco, fly over Oracle Park. We'll also be flying over Alcatraz and Golden Gate Bridge. Then we'll head northeast, and we'll head our way up to the state capital in Sacramento, California. And we'll land at Sacramento Executive Airport. That will be our stream here for today. Now, the plane we're taking here today is the Daher TBM 930, a very popular business aircraft built by the Daher from Socata, or Daher Aerospace. TBM is a very iconic single engine turboprop that's built since the 80s. Over 1,000 been built as of 2020. And it's had many variants over the years. The 930 was featured in the G3000 suite. These bad boys can cruise up to 252 knots at 28,000 feet, a range of 1,700 nautical miles, and it can take off within 2,300 feet. Very capable plane, and it's used by both civilian and even military operators. Yeah, the TBM, a great aircraft. So here's our slide. So we're here at Brownfield is where we're at here today. This airport is located in the Otay Mesa neighborhood of San Diego, 13 miles southeast of downtown San Diego, California. The name of Brownfield comes from Commander Mendel S. Brown, who was killed in an airplane crash in 1936, and it's mainly used as a civilian reliever and a port of entry from Mexico. It was used during World War II as naval air NAAS Otay Mesa, and later changed to Brown Field, and it was mainly used for aircraft training, including those of the P-38 Lightning, Grumman Wildcat, CVM Avenger, Hellcat, and the Consolidated Privateer. After the war, it became an auxiliary landing field, and it was used for a lot of different aircraft. It became a civilian airport during the mid-60s. So that is what Brownfield has been mainly used for back in the day. Let's go ahead and get this game started. Our batteries. And here we go, guys. If you want to know our route for today, here's the server and route if you guys want to join on in. That's going to be our route for today. Our max altitude today is going to be 6,000 feet. That would be mainly in leg 2, flying up to 6,000 feet. But for our first leg, we're mainly going to stick around 2,000 feet for our first leg of the trip. So for me, myself, I've actually been to California once, back in early 2024, on a cruise to Mexico, to the Mexican Riviera and the west coast of Mexico. That was during my time in California. We landed in Long Beach. That's where we're going here today. So we're going to fly over San Diego. Will be our first waypoint of the trip. We'll be at San Diego, California. Now, if you guys have never been to San Diego, this is definitely one of the top cities in California I would love to visit. San Diego is the U.S.'s 8th most populous city, and the second most populous city in the state of California behind Los Angeles. And it's well known for its mild year-round Mediterranean climate, extensive beaches and parks, and long association with the U.S. Navy. It was historically the home to the Kumeyaay people, and San Diego has been known as the birthplace of California, as it was the first site visited and settled by Europeans, which was now the west coast of the United States. But of course, San Diego is most well known for military defense-related activities, tourism, international trade, research, and manufacturing are all major parts of San Diego. includes several universities, as well as being one of the biggest border crossings in the world. From San Diego to Tijuana is actually the busiest international land border crossing outside of Asia. And it's also home to the busiest single runway airport in the United States at San Diego International Airport. So overall, really big city. City with a very rich history. It's a city with a rich history and legacy. Of course, there's plenty of notable things in culture. San Diego is home to several popular museums like the San Diego Natural History Museum, Museum of Us, the Museum of Photographic Arts, San Diego Air Space Museum in Balboa Park. Of course, the world famous San Diego Zoo is located here. San Diego is actually only home to two Major League sports teams. The San Diego Padres of Major League Baseball and San Diego Football Club for Major League Soccer. It used to have both the NFL's San Diego Chargers, which lasted until 2017 before they moved to Los Angeles, and the San Diego Rockets until the 90s, and the Clippers to 1984. So, pretty important stuff. And San Diego's got tons of things going for it. Tourism is a big deal. There's also tons of tourist places in San Diego. San Diego also pretty much features a couple tons of attractions, including it also has a local craft beer industry, tons of historic sites like the Mission San Diego, and more. So lots of really cool stuff in San Diego. San Diego also has the USS Midway Museum too, which if you've never been to the Midway Museum, I've never been there, but I would love to visit the next time I'm out in San Diego. So here we are, guys. We're going to fly over downtown San Diego, California. This is also the home of Joey Bolo. He's also from here, too. So once we get done with this, we'll talk briefly about the history of California as we get past San Diego for a bit. So here's downtown San Diego, California. So here's Petco Park. And yes, there's going to be tons of California pictures on this stream, by the way, because we're visiting so many iconic places. There's the convention center to our left is the San Diego Convention Center. But yeah, Petco Park's really cool. Here's downtown San Diego. Or so you go by the beach side. And of course, if you look to our left, we can see the mighty USS Midway to our left. Very popular museum ship there. Amazing attraction to visit. I would love to visit the Midway. Of course, here is San Diego International Airport with one of the really cool landings of any U.S. airport. Actually, so we're going to go ahead and fly up to 2,000 feet. And we say goodbye to the historic city of San Diego, California. birthplace of California itself. So let's go ahead and, as we climb up to 2,000 feet, and we're going to be doing some flying here, let's go ahead and talk about some bit of California's history once we get to 2,000 feet. Because there's plenty about California we are definitely going to talk about here. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the U.S. state of California in terms of its history. So, about California, there's a lot about California that I think people need to know about. One thing of which is that California is on the West Coast, and with nearly 39 million residents, it is the most populous state in the United States. By a wide margin. It's also the third largest state by land area and the most populated subnational entity in all of North America. Prior to European colonization, California was also one of the most culturally and linguistically diverse areas in pre-Columbian North America. The first people to explore this was the Spanish, but it was ceded to the U.S. in 1848 after the Mexican-American War, and then the California Gold Rush happened, which brought a lot of people here, including the depopulation of much of the tribes. Of course, California areas was also home to some of the most populous urban regions in the country, particularly that of Los Angeles and San Francisco Bay Areas. California is also unique in its diverse geography, the Pacific coast, the Sierra Nevada mountains, and the redwood and Douglas firs in the northwest, the Mojave in the southeast, all create a unique geographic landscape that isn't found in many other U.S. states. And finally, of course, California's economy is the largest by far of any U.S. state, with a total GDP of $4.1 trillion. It is the world's largest subnational economy by most estimations, and if it was its own country, California would have the fourth largest economy in the world, behind Germany, but ahead of Japan. Yes, California, with a population of only 39 million people, would outpace both Germany and Japan. And it's also helped by the fact that it has a strong agricultural and wide range of pop culture, tourism. So yes, California is a state that has a lot of those things going for it. There's definitely a lot of things here in California that are definitely going to be. There's definitely a lot about California worth mentioning. So in terms of history, California, we know that California has a diverse indigenous history, dating back to at least the pre-Columbian times. There were about 300,000 people living in it prior to European colonization, and the indigenous people of California include more than 70 distinct groups, ranging from environments from mountains to deserts to islands to redwood forest. Living in these areas, these indigenous people have developed complex forms of ecosystem management, including forest gardening, as well as medicinal plants. They practice controlled burning and diverse in organizations, bands, tribe villages, and even chiefdoms of various tribes, including that of the Chumash, Pomo, and Salanan tribes. And of course, men and women had very different roles in society. Women mainly did weaving, harvesting, processing, and preparing food, while men hunted and do physical labor. Indigenous society also had a lot of traditions as well. Of course, the first Europeans to explore California, the first ones to check that out, were the Spanish. led by a maritime expedition led by Portuguese captain Juan Rodrigues Cabrillo in 1542. Cabrillo was commissioned by Antonio de Mendoza, the viceroy of New Spain, and he led an expedition up the Pacific coast in new trade. And they entered the San Diego Bay on September 28, 1542, and reached up to San Miguel Island. Of course, this area, and there were many people, but the first people to actually map the California coast was in 1602 by Sebastian de Canza and put it ashore in Monterey. Despite on-ground explorations of California, Rodriguez Cabrillo's idea of an island persisted. It wasn't until the 18th century where some of the first settlements in Spanish colonization in California appeared, including San Diego, most notably San Diego, but also in Monterey as well. Of course, the El Camino Real was built, and they did a lot of connections here into deeper inland. Discover that California wasn't really an island, but rather more inland. But of course, you'd be surprised by this, but it wasn't just the Spanish had interest in California. You wouldn't believe this, but the Russians also had interest in California as well. You see, sailors from the Russian Empire explored the north coast of the state, and in 1812, the Russian-American Company established a trading post at Fort Ross in the north coast of California. It was mainly used to supply the Russia's Alaskan colonies with food supplies. However, it didn't reach much success and was abandoned in 1841. During the War of Mexican Independence, California was unaffected and uninvolved in the revolution. However, after the war ended, War of Mexican Independence eventually became from Spanish rule to Mexican rule. From the 1820s onwards, traffic settlers from the U.S. and Canada arrived in Northern California, and they crossed through the rough terrain to reach California. With all the disputes, of course, it led to the Mexican-American War in 1848. The United States acquired California from Mexico in the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. But of course, the most important major event in California happened during 1 year in the same year. The California Gold Rush happened. When they discovered gold, it completely changed the state forever, both demographics and financially. Soon, a massive influx of immigration to the area resulted as prosperous miners arrived by the thousands. Combine that with lots of immigrants, and by the time California applied for statehood, it had multiplied to 100,000 people. And by 1854, more than 300,000 settlers happened during this time. But it wasn't just that happening too. During that time was the California Genocide. That was one of the side effects of the gold rush, as it depopulated a lot of the indigenous people here in the state of California. As a result, as one of the side effects. During the American Civil War, of course, California became a state in 1850. On September 9th, 1850, California became a U.S. state and became the 31st state in the country. Of course, during the Civil War, California mainly shipped gold shipments eastward into Washington to support the Union. However, the big change happened in the post-Civil War, and most notably, it grew during that time. Thanks to improvements in travel, thanks to the introduction of railroads and improved trails, California became much easier to get in and out of the state. On top of it, there were more migrants from China to seek the gold rush. However, it led to riots and led to the Chinese Exclusion Act in 1882. But of course, there were tons of other migrants, mainly the Japanese in the 20th century, and that led to the Alien Land Act to exclude Asian immigrants from owning land. Of course, migration continued to accelerate even more, thanks to the completion of transcontinental highways, most notably Route 66. And in fact, it grew to be the most populous state in the Union in 1965. And of course, more and more people go to California thanks to its mild climate, cheap land, and varied geography. Starting with Hollywood, of course, as filmmakers established studio in Hollywood in 1920. And of course, California was a huge contributor in World War II, as it produced 9% of U.S. military armaments during the war, third behind New York and Michigan. And it definitely ranked first in military ship production, thanks to San Diego, LA, and San Francisco producing tons of ships. And that military stuff continued long after World War II, with strong aerospace defense industries full war. Technology stuff was also more influenced at the University of Stanford, which became more as the Silicon Valley. California became a major tech center for technology, engineering, aerospace, music, and more. Of course, that didn't mean California wasn't free of racial issues. Of course, the Rodney King riots of 1992 were the most notable, as well as migrant farm workers around Cesar Chavez for better pay. Of course, nowadays, California has seen much increased housing prices as people come in more often. They continue to increase, as in the 1960s it cost $25,000. Nowadays, it costs more than $500,000. And the state also has issues with wildfire issues. Some of the worst wildfires in recent history happened here in the state. Despite that, though, California is still one of the most important states in the country. Hey, good to see you, Mr. Disrespect. Sorry about that. I was paying attention reading. I'm sorry for reading my notes. What plane do you fly for your U.S. tour? I fly multiple planes, depending on multiple planes depend on the state. Yes. Yes, the historical stuff is true. The Native Americans have lived for thousands of years. Yeah. There's definitely Americans, all sorts of things. Many of them did immigrate from Europe. Others immigrated from Latin America, like Mexico, Guatemala, Brazil, South America, Caribbean, from Cuba. Some have got here from Africa due to the slave trade, due to the infamous slave trade got from Africa. Of course, there are many of them who immigrated from Asia, Japan, China, Korea, South Korea mainly, Vietnam, the Philippines. Like I said, the United States has a lot of different immigrant groups, not just one, but multiple different. So we're now about to enter into the LA metro area. We're about to enter into this area next. We're going to be entering to So we're about to enter the Los Angeles metro area. So we're going to enter the LA metro area very shortly. We're just about 36 nautical miles. We'll be heading to, we're going to start by visiting Long Beach, California, which I visited in real life. So if you've never been to Long Beach, California, Long Beach is the 44th most populous city, which has 451,000 people. California's 7th most populous city, and the 2nd most populous city in Los Angeles County. It was incorporated in 1897, and it is home to the 2nd busiest carrier point in the U.S., being the Port of Long Beach, as well as among the world's largest shipping ports. And the entire city is over an oil field with mine wells beneath the city. The city is known for its waterfront attractions, including the permanently docked RMS Queen Mary, the Aquarium of the Pacific, and hosting events like the Grand Prix of Long Beach Pride Festival, and more. So I've been to Long Beach, really cool city. With a rich history. It's a pretty cool city with a lot of traditions. not just trade, but also a lot of people, refugees, a lot of them immigrated from because of war and stuff. So there's more than just that too. So then we'll visit Los Angeles, California. Now, LA is the big city here in SoCal. Now, if you guys don't know about Los Angeles, it is the U.S.'s second most populous city with 3.8 million residents. It's the cultural, commercial, and financial center of Southern California. And its metro area is at a whopping 12.9 million people. Los Angeles has been originally inhabited by the indigenous Tongva people and claimed by Spain in 1542, and the city was officially founded in September 4th, 1781 under Spanish governor Felipe de Neve. But what really grew Los Angeles was during the 19th and 20th century. For one, Los Angeles had oil. And yes, the area was under an oil well, and it brought growth. More so with the Los Angeles Aqueduct, which delivered water from Eastern California. And of course, it has an extremely diverse industry, including film production. It has one of the busiest container ports in the Americas. And has a rich history of other stuff too. Tourism is a massive deal here in Los Angeles. Tons of companies make their homes here too. And it makes complete sense when we visit Los Angeles, California. And there are several landmarks, including the LA Memorial Coliseum, which was built in 1921, a memorial to the LA veterans of War I. And in completing 1923, it will become the first city to host the Summer Olympics 3 times, because it will host the 2028 Summer Olympics here in Los Angeles. But it's mainly now home for the University of Southern California Trojans, the USC of the Big Ten. Yes, I can't believe they're playing in the Big Ten with all the Midwest teams, but it's money, of course. But one big thing about the Memorial Coliseum is it's home to the largest gathering in its history with 134,000 people, when Billy Graham took one of his crusades during that. In terms of actual football game capacity record, pretty big thing as well. But lots of teams play here. NFL teams like the Rams used to play here. Used to, the Bruins used to play for a long time here. Stadium. Even the Dodgers have played a few years. This stadium has a rich history. And of course, it's hosted many Olympic events. It's hosted lots of games. Another landmark here is Dodger Stadium, the city's very famous baseball stadium, one of the iconic venues in Major League Baseball. If you guys aren't aware, my first series was a baseball series back in 2021. Dodger Stadium is one of the great ballparks in baseball, and it's definitely one of the bucket list stadiums to visit here in the country. Opened back in 1962, it is the oldest ballpark west of the Mississippi, and it's also the third oldest in the league still, behind the two classic 1910s ballparks in Boston and Chicago, all where he visited. And it's currently the largest baseball stadium in the world. It seats up to 56,000 people. It's hosted multiple All-Star games, it's hosted the World Series 11 times. It's even hosted some World Baseball Classic games. And even a soccer tournament too. As well as some NHL games. So yeah, Dodger Stadium, really one of the coolest ballparks, and it's nicknamed the Blue Heaven on Earth by Tommy Lasorda. Yeah, really cool stuff. Los Angeles is one very cool. So here, guys, is Long Beach, California. So here's Long Beach, everyone. Port here soon. To our right, you can see Daughtry Field. That's actually where I landed for my trip. Really cool airport. Daughtry Field's a neat little airport. I like Daughtry Field. It was actually pretty smooth landing. And there's the Queen Mary 2 and the cruise ship, and there's the Carnival cruise ship. That's not actually where I docked during my trip in California. We actually went all the way to the Los Angeles port, which was also known for the USS Iowa that was docked here. Wow. So as for upcoming streams, of course, I'm thinking about I'm gonna cancel on Sunday stream in Minnesota. I'm gonna cancel it for Sunday, as unfortunately I don't know when we're gonna get back home. So I think we're gonna stay in. I'm not so sure when we're gonna get home, so I'm gonna go ahead and cancel the stream on Sunday, just be on the safe side. I hope you guys understand. So. So that is so we're not gonna have a stream here on Sunday. So I hope you guys have really cool plans this weekend. I know this weekend we're going to be doing some cool stuff. I hope you guys have some neat plans this weekend. For me, I got my concert on Sunday, which I can't wait for the concert on Saturday. It's going to be absolutely insane with Metallica. So I'm going to be prepared and ready for that concert. So there's what SoFi Stadium would be. However, at the time it was December, it was not built, but SoFi Stadium is the crown jewel in Los Angeles. In terms of LA sports venues, the crown jewel. Here it is, guys, downtown Los Angeles, and yeah, this is the LA metro area. Enormous. There's the LA Memorial Coliseum. There's the Memorial Coliseum. There's downtown Los Angeles. There's downtown Los Angeles. Downtown Los Angeles. Look at all the buildings and stuff, man. Yeah, all of this is just built up. There's Dodger Stadium, one of the most iconic baseball stadiums in the world. And if you're a baseball fan, it should be on your bucket list. If it's not on your bucket list, what the heck's wrong with you? We're going to turn west here, and we're going to go to the next waypoint, the Hollywood Walk of Fame. We're going to be visiting Hollywood. We're actually going to head to the Hollywood sign. Once we're done here, we're going to go up and climb up to 3,000. We're going to come to 4,000 feet, and we make our way over Santa Barbara. Find the Hollywood sign somewhere around here. Also not far from here is the world famous Griffith Observatory and the planetarium to our left. Right over here. Right here is the world famous observatory. Let's see if we can find the sign. There it is. Welcome to Hollywood. And there's the world famous Hollywood sign here in Hollywood. We're officially climbing up to 4,000 feet, and we're going to head our way to Santa Barbara, California. For stop number 1 on the trip. So catching up this week for sports, of course. I have some sports news to talk about here over the past couple days. So in the NBA playoffs, the Rockets have forced the Clippers forced Game 7 against the Nuggets last night. Big win for the Clippers. Now they forced Game 7. The Knicks take home the series yesterday against the Pistons thanks to Jalen Brunson. The Timberwolves won their series Wednesday night, so they beat the Lakers in 5. The Rockets force a Game 6 on Wednesday as well against the Warriors. So it should be interesting and also not really a surprise as well. But interesting playoffs in the NBA. So wait on that probably within the next couple of days. In the NHL playoffs, the Maple Leafs will be advancing to the next round. Capitals have advanced to the next round, beat the Canadiens. The Panthers beat the Lightning and they advance in 5. The Maple Leafs advance, beating the Senators, their rivals at Ottawa. Winnipeg takes Game 5. And the Vegas Golden Knights won yesterday. They advanced to the second round. The Avalanche forced Game 7 yesterday. And Edmonton takes home their series. So tonight is going to be Game 7 for Winnipeg. Hope the Jets win. Hope hope they get it done, and I hope the Avalanche get it. It looks like the playoffs have been pretty much set for the next round. Like I said, I would hope we get an all-Canada finals. That would be really cool to see. After having so many American teams having been dominating the NHL for years, it would be quite refreshing. In terms of other sports, for my local sports, Louisville City have just beat their rivals yesterday, Lexington. They remain unbeaten this season. The Blue Sea is still unbeaten, and second in the points. Loudon still has that additional win, but we haven't lost, so I guess that I'll take not having to lose. But yeah, this season's going pretty well for Louisville City. I know they got some pretty big stuff going. I know Lou City is going to have a pretty big match on the 7th of May against Minnesota United, U.S. Open Cup. So, pretty big thing going on. The MLS, FC Cincinnati is first in the Eastern Conference. So Cincinnati is doing really good this year in the eastern half of the conference, followed by their rival Columbus, Philadelphia, Charlotte, Miami, Nashville, and Orlando. And then the West has been Vancouver. Vancouver's doing really good. Portland, Austin, Minnesota, Colorado, Dallas, and San Diego to make a run for the playoffs. And then for Premier League stuff, today is the Premier League matchup with Wolves and Manchester City today. So it's coming later today at 2 o'clock. It's going to come later today at 3 o'clock. It's going to be in 2 hours. Gonna watch that. Everton's going to play Ipswich, who are already going to be relegated. So, but additional points is going to help this club in the long run. So a win here would be nice to move up in the tables. So, be pretty nice to have that additional win. Especially with Manchester United, I would like to have them win and move up on the standings. And finally, for baseball, the Tigers are the best team in the American League. Their first team to win 20 games this year. Tigers have been amazing, absolutely incredible. For Tigers, the Rays are 14-17. They're only 4 games back. That's not that big of a drop. And then the AL West has been dominated by the Mariners. In the National League, the Reds are just 2 games behind Cubs. But the Rockies are still absolutely terrible. So they did get a win yesterday. Still though. So in terms of layer content today, I know Murphy's going to be back on today. I know Murphy's going to be back on later today on his stream. His streaming today, he'll be going over the Pyrenees Mountains. He'll be taking the TL3000 from Perpignan, France, to Quevert, and then go to Pamplona. He'll be doing that today, 1900 Zulu. And then Allison's going to be back on for her recreation tomorrow morning, she'll be doing. I wonder if she's going to be doing her recreation. She is. Oh, she canceled it. Oh, she canceled it tomorrow. So no Saturday street. Okay. That's an interesting one. Yeah, check those two out. You'll have a great time with Murph and Hippo. So our next stop's going to take us to Santa Barbara. Will be our next stop. So let's go ahead and yeah, the California scenery is definitely absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, some pretty cool stuff though. I also got done with my personal project today. We're gonna fly over Santa Barbara. Will be our next. Our first stop of the day is Santa Barbara, California. So if you guys aren't aware about Santa Barbara Santa Barbara is well known for being located in the American Riviera on the south coast of California. The city lies between the steeply rising St. Ynez Mountain in the Pacific Ocean, and it's a Mediterranean climate known as the American Riviera. Its population is 8,665 people. In addition to being a popular tourist and resort destination, the city has a diverse economy that includes service sector, education, technology, healthcare, finance, agriculture, and manufacturing. And areas of institution include University of California, Santa Barbara City College, and Antoch University, Santa Barbara. Of course, in terms of natural scenery, you have the Santa Ynez Mountains, the Los Padres National Forest, and of course, Channel Islands National Park, which we will be visiting on our national park journey here. After this series is over, for the Sunday stuff, is going to be the National Park series. And Channel Islands is going to be one of those parks. Of course, we'll be heading to Santa Barbara Airport. Our next stop is, of course, Santa Barbara Airport. This airport is the main commercial airport for the city. And it has been around since 1940. And of course, this area really grew with World War II as a Marine Corps air station, as an aviator train base. But nowadays, it's mainly used for airline services and general aviation. Most notably, it's mainly used by Southwest, but other airlines have used, like Delta, United, American, and Alaskan have all used this airport. But it features a really unique Spanish-style terminal building that was commissioned in 1942, is still preserved here. But it is a pretty cool airport. I've done some flying in Santa Barbara. It's actually a really nice approach. It's a really cool city, though, Santa Barbara. So there's a lot of things about Santa Barbara that's worth visiting. You have the harbor. It's got a great harbor. It's got the historic mission that was the National Historical Landmark. It has a really cool Spanish colonial style courthouse. And there's also, of course, a pretty well-known zoo, a couple of abodes, and museums. Neat little place. Here's downtown Santa Barbara. Waterfront, there's the water park area. About to reach downtown Santa Barbara. Here it is, guys, Santa Barbara. I'm gonna park here for just a bit, and we're gonna park here. So welcome to Santa Barbara Airport here in Santa Barbara, California. Beautiful area here. It's a really cool airport to do some lands and takeoffs at. But we'll rest here for a minute or two and get everyone ready for the next leg. So our next leg will take us through, I think it's going to be a bit of a shorter leg here today. So this one's probably our longest leg. First leg's our longest. Now we're going to be ready for our second leg pretty shortly. So if you guys want to join on in and get ready for the next leg, we'll be ready for that. So we'll be getting ready for the next leg shortly. I think we're going to go ahead and get ready for leg number 2 here. Go get ready for the second leg of the trip. So we're going to head over to Monterey, California. We're going to climb to 6,000 feet for this next leg. It will be the highest leg of the trip in terms of height. So this will be our highest leg. we're about to make our way to leg number 2, Monterey. So I put in the GPS, since we're not having any waypoints, we can go direct. Hey, sure. Hey, Shirley Dev. It is the TBM. Yep, it is indeed. It is definitely the TBM 930. So we're flying in California today for our 50 Street teams. So we're heading to California, so we're going to fly up to 6,000 feet. We're going to climb to 15,000 feet for the next leg. Climb up a little bit higher to around 15,000 feet. We're going to talk more about California once we get to 15,000 feet. We'll talk about California's geography. we'll talk about geography and culture of California once we reach 15,000. So here we go. We're going to climb up to 15,000. Here it is at 15,000 feet. We're going to finally climb up to there. So we're going to go ahead and talk about California's geography as we're going to fly at this altitude. So geographically speaking, California is an absolutely state. It is 163,696 square miles, making it the third largest state in the U.S. in the area after Alaska and Texas. And it's one of the most geographically diverse states in the entire union. And it's bisected into two regions, Southern California and Northern California. It's in terms of state bordering, it's bordered by the U.S. states of Oregon to the north, Nevada to the east, and northeast, Arizona to the southeast, the Pacific Ocean to the west, and an international border in the south. Of course, California is most well known for its diverse geography. In the middle is the Central Valley, which is the most agriculturally rich region in California. Of course, there's definitely some unique elements in California's geography to discuss. So in Northern California, there is a lot of different geographic regions here. NorCal mainly has the Klamath Mountains to the north. In Northwest California is the Klamath Mountains, mainly Mount Eddy. You have the Cascade Range, which goes through the northeast side of the state. And one of the main peaks up there is Mount Shasta. There's also the Basin Range province, which goes through a lot of Nevada. And that's mainly east of the Mighty Sierra. And of course, the big part about Northern California's mountain range is Sierra Nevada, which contains the highest contiguous peak in the contiguous 48, Mount Whitney. It has lots of sunny days a year with warm summers, fierce winters, and varied terrain. There's also Lake Tahoe as well, and some of the most massive trees on Earth. Southern California has a lot of different transverse ranges, the Mojave Desert, the Peninsula Ranges, and the Colorado Desert. Of course, it is part of the Pacific Ring of Fire. As a result, California is subject to tsunamis, floods, droughts, wildfires, and landslides, as well as several volcanoes. The most well-known fault in the state is the San Andreas Fault, and around 37,000 earthquakes have been reported a year at the fault. So, do be warned about that. Earthquakes are a big deal here in the state, and you better be a little concerned about earthquakes. Of course, when you look at the state's climate, you can definitely see the wide variety of climates here. It's definitely its diverse climate. It has mainly a Mediterranean climate. However, the cool California current often creates summer fog on the coast. When you go farther inland, there are colder winters and hotter summers. And the maritime moderation results in the shoreline summer temperatures of LA and San Francisco to be the coolest of all metro areas in the United States. And they're uniquely cool compared to the areas of the same latitude in the interior on the East Coast. Even the San Diego shoreline border in Mexico is cooler than most areas in the contiguous 48. However, if you move just a few miles inland, the summer temperature extremes are significantly higher, including with downtown LA being 7 degrees warmer than the coast. And it's also seen in the Bay Area as well. Northern parts of the state have more rain than the south. California's mountain ranges also influence the climate, mainly with the Sierra Nevada. And the mountains in California produce a lot of rain showers at the east side, which creates many of the state's extensive deserts, most notably at Death Valley, which has some of the hottest location in the world. Which, of course, you all probably know, the record temperature at Death Valley was 134 degrees in 1913. In terms of low temperatures in California, the lowest recorded temperature was in Boca in 1937, and it was at negative 45 degrees. Of course, the wide range of climates also has a high water demand usage, so California's working hard on fixing its droughts. So that is definitely something to keep important. Hey, good to see you, Red Baron. Definitely check out Red Baron's stream. I hope you're doing well, Red Baron. We're making our way over to Monterey for leg 2. We started back in Brownfield, just outside of San Diego. We went through downtown San Diego. Went through Long Beach, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara. And now we're heading to Monterey, and we're heading up to Northern California now. We're just doing some flying into TBM into Monterey. I hope you're doing well, my dude. Ah, thank you. Today's Oaks Day. That's right. Just a day before the Derby. So, of course, in terms of ecology, California is really unique among all U.S. states, as it's one of the most ecologically richest and most diverse parts of the world, thanks to some of the most endangered ecological communities in the world. It's part of the Nearctic realm, and it spans a number of different terrestrial regions. And California has a large number of endemic species, including several relict species that died elsewhere, like the Catalina ironwood, as well as other species. Of course, there's also many endemics that are now been endangered, like urbanization, logging, overgrazing, and introduction of exotic species. There's lots of different ecoregions. There's tons of desert regions throughout the Mojave, Joshua Tree area, the Great Basin Desert, and more. You have all the different Mediterranean regions, from Monterey Bay areas, tropical woodlands, and of course all the forested mountains. California is home to a ton of different animals. This does include the flora and fauna of California as well. California has a lot of superlatives in its flora, including home to the largest trees, the tallest trees, and the oldest. Those being in those three in order. The largest tree, the giant sequoias. The tallest tree, the coastal redwoods that can live up to 2,000 years, and the oldest tree, the Pinus longeva, the bristlecone pine, which, no joke, those pine trees can live up to almost 5,000 years old. And one located in the mountains is 4,800 years old. Yeah, 4,800 years. It's around before even the Romans came to exist. And as a result, due to its great terrain, climate and terrain, there's different life zones. In addition to all the different rich flora, it also has a rich amount of fauna species too. Some of these include in the desert zone, like the jackrabbit, kangaroo rat. Hey, a Bonnie's player, good to see you. Thanks for coming here, my dude. Thanks for the shout. Check out Bonnie's player, a really good friend of the channel. We're here in California today. We're in the TVM today. Flying in California. We're heading to Monterey next. We started in Brown Municipal Field, went through SoCal into San Diego, Long Beach, LA, Santa Barbara, and now we're heading to the north. So, of course, in terms of species, animal species, there's a lot of them. Like the jackrabbit, kangaroo rat, squirrel, and opossum. Birds like owls, roadrunners, cactus wrens are well known. Then the transition zone between the desert and the mountain zone, you have black-tailed deer, black bear, gray foxes, cougars, bobcats, and even Roosevelt elk live in those regions, as well as several reptiles species live. And then in the Canadian zone, which is the more mountain zone, you have mountain weasels, snowshoe hare, chipmunks, several bird species, even larger animals like mule deer, coyote, mountain lions, and more. In addition to all the land species, there's also aquatic species, from freshwater fish like different trout species of rainbow trout and golden trout, to deep sea life forms like sea bass, yellowfin tuna, barracuda, and several types of whale. But the most important species, though, in California were some of the most endangered animals. Most notably, of all those endangered species, including the Pacific pocket mouse, California tern, and of course the most famous endangered animal in California, the California condor, which at one point was extinct in the wild, but thanks to the hardworking hardworking conservationists in the San Diego Wild Animal Park and LA Zoo, their populations are now starting to rebound a bit. There's now about 561 of the birds now. So, good to see the California condor back on the rise again. Nice, Ibanez. Oh. So, we got a Metallica concert planned tomorrow, so I want to get this thing done. Way up in the California landscape. So, for next week's streams, for planned next week, since I am going to cancel Sunday's stream due to the fact I'm not sure when I'm going to get home tomorrow on Sunday morning, I'm going to cancel the stream on Sunday. So I'll be planning out the next part of the streams, but I know that our next streams are going to be next week. So I'm already going to plan out next week's. So next Wednesday, I'm thinking about taking the Sky Courier again for another round of Sky Courier flights. And I'm going to do some flights in Germany. I'm going to do some regional ops in Deutschland. So I'm going to go from, I'm going to do some shorter flights. I think Zurich to Mannheim. I'm going to do, I think Zurich to Mannheim. Since Zurich's one of our hubs, we'll go from there. And then from Mannheim over to Cologne. To Cologne, Bonn. Check out that as well. But I feel like that would be pretty cool to fly over a bit of Germany. Yeah, I'm still waiting for when the airliners start finally coming out. Though that's going to be Wednesday, I believe. And then on Friday we'll do the Minnesota flights. We're going to fly in Minnesota. So we'll have Minnesota, and of course, after that, after Minnesota, next Sunday is going to be will be Oregon. We'll be heading to Foxtrot's home state of Oregon. So this should be a pretty fun one for us. Which I'm looking forward to finally get to Oregon and do some general aviation stuff in Oregon. We're just about 64 nautical miles to our place here in Monterey. Oh, nice. The 777-200's released. Oh, nice. Okay, I might be interested in this. I want to know how much that's going to cost. Let's see how much it's. $77. I know that's the 300 ER, but I don't know. I may just wait until the 300 ER is released for. I'm not saying the 200 is a bad plane to have, but I'm gonna round it. So in terms of culture, California is an absolute juggernaut when it comes to culture. And it makes complete sense. Considering that California's culture is basically a mix between Western culture and roots of both U.S. as well as Hispanic Californio and Mexican influence. As a border and coastal state, it's been influenced by several large immigrant populations, mainly from those of Latin America and Asia. California has been long since been a public mind by its boosters as a kind of paradise, and it's grown even more during the 20th century as an ideal resort destination, sunny and dry all year round, with easy access to ocean and mountains, as well as the public image in the 1960s with the Beach Boys. Of course, if you think about California, California is big with the media industry. Of course, Hollywood as a major global center of entertainment with the U.S. film industry with its big five film studios of Columbia Pictures, Disney, Walt Disney Pictures, Paramount, Universal, and Warner Brothers. As well as many minor film companies. There's also the four major television broadcast networks also have their networks and offices in the state. And, of course, California has a rich history with music, with many music genres being born here in the States. That includes Bakersfield Sound, alternative rock, new metal, glam metal, thrash metal, punk rock, surf music, West Coast hip hop, and many others. And of course, other genres were popularized in the state. As the home of Silicon Valley, the Bay Area is most known for several prominent internet media, social media, and tech companies, including Apple, Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and Google, as well as other services like Netflix, Pandora Radio, YouTube, and more. So, yes, lots of media and other companies have made their home here in California. And then, of course, California has also a ton of sports teams, which makes sense considering it is the most populous state. It's going to be home to lots of sports teams. 18 of them, in fact, more than any other U.S. state, and more so than New York or Texas. In fact, the Bay Area alone has 5 major league teams, and the greater LA area has 10 of them. And then San Diego and Sacramento have the other 3. Super Bowl is hosted in California 12 times at 5 different venues. And of course, California's also had many collegiate sports programs, most notably USC, USC Trojans, UCLA Bruins, University of California Golden Bears, Stanford University Cardinal, the Fresno State Bulldogs. Also, in addition, and finally, California is the only U.S. state to host both Summer and Winter Olympics. In the Summer Olympics were held in 1932 and 1984 in Los Angeles, and it will also host in 2028. While Lake Tahoe region hosted the 1960 Winter Olympics. And there are also going to be several World Cup games held here in California. So yes, sports are a pretty big deal here in the state of California. Now, my other alternative for Sunday, I don't know if you're all okay with this, but I'm thinking about playing a different game on my stream. I know some people play other games besides Flight Sim. So, how would you guys feel if I play EAFC 25 on the channel? Because that's one of the other games I have on the channel I could play for a bit. Play a bit of EAFC 25. Play some of my probably play a few normal exhibition games with some of my favorite clubs, mainly Everton, maybe Frankfurt. I wonder how you guys would want it, because you guys are the most important people. But I want you guys to know how you all feel, because I haven't played those in a while, and I wanted to maybe try something a little different besides Flight Sim. Because now that I have so much more space, I got a couple games in the library. I also have Super Mega Baseball as well. I can play that with you guys as well. It's either that or Super Mega Baseball. I'll probably play that. So I am interested in trying another game. So we're going to be heading to Monterey shortly. We'll be Monterey, California. This will be our next stop. So Monterey, California is situated on the southern edge of Monterey Bay in the central coast of California. Population 30,000 people. It was founded by the Spanish in 1770 when Gaspar de Portola and Junipero Serra established the Presidio of Monterey. It was elevated to the capital of the province of California in 1777. It served as the administrative and military headquarters of Alta California and Baja California, as well as its port of entry. Following the Mexican War of Independence, Monterey continued to be the capital of the Mexican Department of Californians. Of course, the U.S. seized it during the U.S. conquest of California in 1846, and Monterey served as the capital of the intergovernmental California until 1849, when it was eventually moved over to Sacramento. Of course, nowadays Monterey is most famous for being a very popular tourist destination, thanks to Monterey Bay Aquarium, Cannery Row, Fisherman's Wharf, and the California Roots Music and Arts Festival. It's also an important hub for military higher education, including the Defense Language Institute, Naval Postgraduate School, the California State University Monterey Bay. And this area is served by the Monterey Regional Airport. Kilo Mike Romeo Y. KMRY. Let's write in the alphabet. Yankee. Oh, yeah. Okay, Yankee. Give me a second. It was created in 1936. It was known as Monterey Peninsula Airport until it was renamed in 2011. And the airport has its origins from the polo field of the Hotel du Mont in 1910. And of course, it was also used too, but nowadays it's mainly used for limited airline service to destinations to several hub airports: San Diego, Seattle, Las Vegas, Dallas, Phoenix, LA, Denver, and San Francisco. But it's mainly used as well. That's what this airport is most known for. Now, about the Monterey region, of course, its marine life and the Monterey Bay Aquarium is one of the largest aquariums in the country. A very big aquarium and very prestigious aquarium. Also, not far from this area, if you actually go to your left, you can actually go down the road and drive down to south of it. You actually get to visit Carmel by the Sea, and it's home to a world-famous golf course, Pebble Beach, one of the great golf courses of the world. If you like golf and stuff, it's definitely a neat place to visit. Here it is, guys. Here's Monterey Bay Airport. Stop number 2 of the day. welcome to Monterey, everyone. This is our second stop of the day here in Monterey. So we're officially here on stop number 2. So we officially reached Monterey Bay. We only have one final leg left to go, and that is to San Francisco, California. That's right. Our next stop's the Bay Area. This will be our last stop of the day. So we're going to go ahead and prepare for the last leg of the trip. We're going to go ahead and prepare for leg number 2. We get to go here as well. So we're about to approach Monterey. And here's the historic city of Monterey, California. Here's Monterey, California. We're going to go ahead and get ready to turn left here very shortly. We're going to go ahead and turn left. Of course, we're going to talk about the economy of California as we head over to San Jose, California. So in terms of economy, California is by far the largest in the United States. And it's actually one of the largest in the world. $4 trillion US as of 2024, which is $102,000 per capita, and it's responsible for 1/7 of the nation's GDP is from California. And as of 2025, its national GDP is larger than all but 4 countries in the globe. And in purchasing power, it's larger than all but 8 countries. And it's larger than all of Africa and Australia and nearly as much as South America. And some of that has to do to thanks to its diverse economy, home to both the largest and second largest U.S. ports in LA and Long Beach, as well as the ports of Oakland and Cunene. Of course, there's five main sectors of employment in California: trade, transportation, and utilities, government, business services, education and health, and leisure hospitality are the big five things in California's. Of course, one major part about California's economy that I think needs to be more discussed is definitely the fact of its agriculture. Let's not forget California's agriculture has historically been one of its big sectors of its economy. And rightfully so, considering California is probably the most diverse agricultural region in the country. It especially some of its main products, the three largest crops produced here in the state are milk and cream, shelled almonds, and grapes. But that's three of the more than 400 different commodity crops, including significant portions of all fruits and vegetables in the country. And there are about 77,000 unique farms and ranches in the state, operating 25 million acres of land. Due to its scale and the naturally arid climates, the agriculture sector is about 40% of California's water. And as a result, of course, there's definitely a lot of issues with water. So as a result, that is pretty. As a result, so yes. So agriculture is a huge issue here in the state. Rivaling that is energy. California is actually the most largest users of energy in the country. But it is a pretty diverse energy usage. It has extensive hydroelectric generation facilities, and moving water is a big deal. Oh, and surprisingly, despite California having the most largest state, its per capita energy use is actually the smallest of any U.S. state. And it imports more electricity than any other U.S. state, primarily those from the Pacific Northwest. And it has a strong, thanks to its large crude oil and natural gas deposits, and of course, thanks to the strong environmental movement, California has some of the most aggressive renewable energy goals in the U.S., mainly with several solar plants, wind farms, hydroelectric power plants. And as a result, it is possible to convert the entire supply of California's energy to be renewable. And the last part about California's economy is transportation. Vast terrains connected by an extensive system of highways, roads, and highways. California's got known for its rich car culture, which, as a result, California has a reputation for traffic congestion, which is among the worst of the U.S. states. And the population is straining all the transportation networks. As a result, California has some of the worst roads in the United States. In fact, only rivaled by Alaska, which is really remote, and Rhode Island, which is a really small state to begin with. Of course, outside of just car travel, California has a lot of airports, particularly that of Los Angeles and San Francisco, being some of the busiest airports in the world, as well as a dozen other important commercial airports, including those of San Jose, Oakland, Sacramento, Fresno, Ontario, San Diego, Santa Barbara, or at least some of the other important commercial aviation places here in California. And finally, there is some bit of railroad travel from Amtrak. And there are three different routes of go through California. So yes, California definitely has a few things. So we'll talk more about the fun facts when we get through San Francisco and head to and heading our way over to Sacramento. So, if you guys are checking in, I hope you guys are enjoying this stream. If you are enjoying this stream and want to learn more, smash that follow and support the channel. We stream here 3 days a week here on Twitch. So we're going to be flying to San Jose next. Our next destination is going to be San Jose, California. San Jose is going to be our next stop. Is San Jose, California. San Jose is actually the most populous city in the Bay Area, not San Francisco, with 971,000 people. Its combined area is around 7.5 and 9 million respectively, and it is actually the third most populous city in California, only behind that of LA and San Diego. LA and San Diego are the only ones more populous than that of San Jose. It's known for its innovation, cultural diversity, affluence, and sunny, mild climate. Its connection to the booming high tech made it known as Silicon Valley, and as a result, San Jose is known as the capital of Silicon Valley. Of course, San Jose was actually the first capital of California, believe it or not. However, it was eventually moved over to Sacramento in the northwest, the northeast, and it grew even more during the Cold War era due to all the technologies. In 1990, it even surpassed San Francisco. So yes, San Jose is definitely a really important state, yet for some reason, San Jose kind of gets forgotten about, which is weird. As well. There's some really cool things about San Jose that are worth visiting. Its rich performing arts are one thing. But of course, it's also known for sports teams. It's home to two major league sports teams, San Jose Sharks of the NHL, and the San Jose Earthquakes of the MLS. But there is definitely some things as well. But San Jose is definitely a cool city, if not a bit forgotten. And there's San Jose Airport too, which is pretty cool. I like flying to San Jose Mineta. That's definitely a really neat flyover. Here's downtown San Jose, California. Here's downtown. Here's guys, San Jose, California. So we're going to head straight to San Francisco. We're not going to go to Palo Alto. We're going to go straight to San Francisco. So we're going to fly straight into San Francisco, 37 nautical miles. So San Francisco will be our first. Now we're heading to San Francisco, and there's plenty to talk about here in San Francisco. Of course, when people think of California, they think of one or two cities. Either Los Angeles or this city right here, San Francisco. So San Francisco is the commercial, financial, and cultural center of Northern California. Population of 827,000 residents, making it California's fourth most populous city, with a land area of 46 square miles, which makes it the fifth most densely U.S. county. Prior to European settlement, it was mainly inhabited by the Yellow people, and it was officially established in 1776 on June 29th as the Presidio of San Francisco at the Golden Gate. Of course, what really grew San Francisco into the city it is today was, of course, the gold rush happened, and a lot of people brought the stuff here, and as a result, but at the time it grew, it became the biggest city in the West Coast. Of course, three-quarters of the city was destroyed in the infamous 1906 earthquake and fire. However, it was rebuilt, and San Francisco continued to be important for World War II as a major port of embarkation for naval service in the Pacific theater. Post-World War II, it had a lot of immigration, liberalizing attitudes, the rise of the beatnik hippie cultures, as well as the sexual revolution and opposition to Vietnam War, making San Francisco a center of liberal activism. Of course, San Francisco brings a lot of visitors, domestically and globally, and it's famous for its steep rolling hills, eclectic mix of architecture, its various neighborhoods, including the Mission and Chinatown districts, and unique landmarks, like the Golden Gate Bridge. It's also home to two major sports teams within the city of San Francisco, the Giants and the Golden State Warriors. The 49ers don't play in San Francisco. They used to, but they now play in Santa Clara because they couldn't find any space in San Francisco. Like I said, the Bay Area doesn't have a lot of space to give it. But man, San Francisco is definitely rich in lots of cultural heritage, especially for the LGBT culture too. Its LGBT stuff have a long history. It has a rich art culture, tons of museums, and rich sports history too. Tons of stuff. Of course, the main landmark here in San Francisco will be today is the Golden Gate Bridge. It was actually constructed back in 1937. It constructed from 1933 to 1937. Open, it's 87 years old. And it goes through the Golden Gate, a 1 mile wide strait connecting the San Francisco Bay to the Pacific Ocean. And it's recognized as one of the wonders of the modern world. And it's one of the most internationally recognized symbols of San Francisco and California. It's been on people's minds since the 19th century, but it didn't take the 20th century with Joseph Strauss, with Leon Mosef, Irving Morrow, and Charles Ellis making it a reality. And it's considered to be the most photographed bridge in the world. And at the time of its opening back in 1937, it was the longest and tallest suspension bridge in the world. Its length was about 1.7 miles, and its height was 746 feet. The longest span was 4,200 feet. So yes, this bridge is absolutely enormous. So yes, this bridge is definitely a structure. Okay, we have a raid from MDA009. Good to see MDA viewers. We're here in California today. We're doing our 50 states and 50 streets here in California. We're flying our way to San Francisco, California. We're going to be flying over San Francisco shortly before heading our way over to Sacramento. So I hope you're doing well, MDA. I hope you had a great stream today. This here is San Francisco. There's Chase Arena, home of the Warriors. There's Oracle Park, home of the Giants. Here. Here's downtown. Here's downtown San Francisco, the world famous San Francisco. No worries. I know it's 4 a.m. I completely understand you being this. It is 4 a.m. Australia. To your left, if you look to your right, we can actually see Alcatraz. This was the infamous prison that held Al Capone and many other mobsters back in the old days. Of course, we're mainly going to check out the beautiful Golden Gate, since that's what we're really here for. Yes. Here it is, guys, the beautiful one and only Golden Gate. Look at that marble of a lamp. So if you guys aren't aware about who I am, I'm ViperStrike95. I stream here on Twitch 3 days a week. Normally I stream 3 days a week. Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays here on Twitch. The Fridays and Sunday streams currently will be our 50 states and 50 streams as we fly our way across the 50 United States. Of course, this week, I won't be having the Sunday stream due to the fact that, well, I have a overnight concert in Nashville. I don't know when I'm going to get home. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you guys know after stream I'll be canceling it. So I do understand for you guys' patience, of course. Here is the Discord. If you guys want to actually keep up to date with my content. So we're flying the TBM today since I really want to get between SoCal and NorCal. I want to get through the state pretty well. So of course we're going to be flying over California. So here are some fun facts about California. We're about to get to the end of our thing. So here are some fun facts about the U.S. state of California. First things first is in Castroville, California. It's known as the artichoke capital of the world. The history of this was this area was what a lot of the artichokes were grown from. And in 1947, a young woman named Norma Jean was crowned as the first artichoke queen of Castroville. And why is this important? Well, you may better know her as Marilyn Monroe, the legendary actress who starred in a lot of major films back in the 1950s. And and she's involved in a lot of different stars, including that of Niagara, Gentlemen Prefer Blonde, and How to Marry a Millionaire, and more. But she actually had of course, another interesting fact here about the U.S. state of California is the San Francisco Bay. It's considered to be the world's largest landlocked harbor. So that's an interesting fact because it's technically landlocked. So that's a really cool fact. Sequoia National Park contains the world's largest living tree. And it's around 100, its trunk is literally 102 feet in circumference, which is really thick. In Pacific Grove, there's actually a law, a really unique state law, for a $500 fine for molesting butterflies. Yes, I kid you not, that is actually... Yes, you can get in trouble. Yes, it's part of the grove for touching or disturbing the butterfly. It is, and that's because a lot of monarch butterflies stay here over winter. That's why that's a law. Mount Whitney is the highest point in the lower 48, and the famous climb is the Mount Whitney Trail to its 14,000-foot summit, and you need permits to do it. In terms of Hollywood, the first person to personally receive a star was actress Joanne Woodward in 1960. And of course, Death Valley is the hottest, driest place in the United States, and it's not uncommon for summer temperatures to reach more than 115 degrees during the summertime. Trust me, it gets really hot. Believe me, it does. And of course, Death Valley is also a national park. Is also where you can find a national park, Death Valley National Park, and we will be visiting there on one of our journeys for a national park series. Of course, there is tons of people that make their home here in California, but here's some of the more famous people from the state. Legendary football star Marcus Allen from San Diego, Luis Alvarez, inventor from San Francisco, Shirley Temple, actress and ambassador from Santa Monica, California, and you can also find Robert Bauer. How about the star chef from Pasadena, Julia Child, which if you guys anywhere about the cooking stuff, she is definitely known for bringing French cuisine to normal American kitchens. Especially bringing French cuisine to the American public. Famous actor Leonardo DiCaprio from Hollywood, California. How about the legendary star baseball player and one of the people who actually dated Marilyn Monroe, Joe DiMaggio from Martinez, California. Then you have the iconic Air Force General James Doolittle, the Doolittle Raid. He's from Alameda, right in the Bay Area. How about the legendary NASCAR racer Jeff Gordon from Vallejo? Publisher William Hearst from San Francisco, and even a U.S. President, Richard M. Nixon from Yorba Linda, California. Just at least to name a few of the many well-known Californians from the United States. Lots of famous people here today. If you guys want to know our route here for today, we're going to be flying to Sacramento Executive Airport, where we're going to be here. So we're about to head to Sacramento for our last stop. Sacramento will be our final stop today. We're just 39 miles out from Sacramento. We're getting very, very close to our last stop. Let's go ahead and speak about Sacramento as we make our way to California's capital city, Sacramento. Yes, a lot of people don't think LA or San Francisco is the capital. No, it's Sacramento, actually. But Sacramento is really important. This is located in the confluence of the Sacramento American rivers. It's the capital of California. Population 524,000 people, making it the fourth most populous city in NorCal and the sixth most populous city in the state. It's also the cultural and economic core of the greater Sacramento area, which is around 2.68 million people. And it was actually established in Sacramento was founded back in 1848, and it was incorporated in 1850. It was made to be the new capital of California. And it became the permanent state capital in 1854. And it's currently the fastest growing major city in the state, thanks to its notable political center and educational hub of the state. Sacramento is home to several important institutions like the California Museum, Crocker Art Museum, its State Railroad Museum, State Capitol Museum, and Old Sacramento State Park, at least to name a few. In addition to this as well, Sacramento is also home to its own major sports team, the only major sports team in the state being the Sacramento Kings. They play in the NBA. But they also have several teams, including the Sacramento Republic FC of the USL and the Sacramento River Cats from Miami Sports. The Oakland Athletics are actually playing their games here in Sacramento currently as they're waiting to move to Las Vegas. So, but yeah, well, Sacramento definitely is a pretty cool city. It just gets a little. And of course, our final stop is Sacramento Executive. It's mainly an executive airport. It was used for World War II before taking control of this back to the state post-war. And one notable incident happened in 1972 when a Canadair Sabre Mark V jet was returned from Oakland from the Golden West Sport Aviation Show, and it crashed and it failed to bring airborne, and it went into the runway and it crashed into an ice cream parlor. So yes, it did have one little incident. So that is it, guys. That is our last slide of today's stream. So we'll be seeing you guys about when. Yeah, Sacramento definitely is. We're going to be in very shortly to Sacramento. Right around here is the Central Valley of California. Of course, a lot of the agriculture is around the Fresno area. But don't worry, we'll be visiting California plenty of times here during our stream. Like I said, thank you guys so much for coming here as always. Hope you guys are enjoying this stream and learning more about the United States as we're coming up here as well. Here it is, guys, Sacramento, California. Here's the ballpark for the River Cats in athletics. Capitol building down below us. Here we go, guys, our final stop. There's our airport right in front of us. And that's it, everyone. Power down, and we'll wrap up the stream. Guys, we've officially made it here to Sacramento, California. Guys, so we completed our first state in the Western United States. So we'll be back on Wednesday as we get ready for our next flight. So we're going to say hello over to Okandu today. We're going to check out Kando and make sure he's doing all right. So take care, guys. I hope to see you on Wednesday. We'll be in the Sky Courier again. So see you soon. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend.